Have you ever seen those videos or read those posts online that explain to you how to get your first 100,000 or maybe even how to get $1,000,000? Well, today we're going to dive into some of those concepts those videos generally explain and see if it's legit. Let's get started. I've spent the last few days watching videos, reading forums, reading books on how to make your first 100,000. I found 3 common concepts that all of these videos and sources seem to talk about. Number 1 was mindset, number 2 was making more money, and number 3 was behaviors. Now, if you're like me and don't want to do the work but just want to receive 100,000, all of the information I'm about to share will either make you sad, mad, happy, hopeful, or downright depressed. And the sad truth is, there is no secret formula or trick that will help you make 100,000. It takes a lot of work, grind, commitment, sacrifice, pain, and struggles. Now that we've done a little therapy session, let's actually break down the 3 ways on how to make 100,000. First one, mindset. Mindset I will describe here as the way that you understand and approach money. Money is ultimately a resource that is function is a tool. I found that having a I can't do it, or they only got money because they got daddy's money, or they stripped for their money, seems to be labeled as what's called a negative mindset. So the counterpart would be thinking, I can do this, I shouldn't focus on how others make their money, and I will find solutions to my problems, to be what's called positive thinking. Basically, things that you can actually do that are within your control that can push you forward to do something, a change in a sense, or in the actual manifestation, a change. The other point of emphasis, which is making more money, which seems obvious, seems to not actually be the starting point in this journey, according to these sources. Making more money can come in many different forms. Getting a raise. Problem with that is a lot of companies seem to be like Mr. Krabs these days, so not always an option, but it's worth a shot if you can do it. Another option is investing in stocks, crypto, real estate, or business. Personally, I say stocks would be the safest and easiest option since unlike real estate, you could start usually with $100. If you can't make $100 it might be time for you to hit the corner.
Spare change. Spare change, man.
The stock market year after year grows about 10%. So if you did invest $100 each year, it would take around 22 years to get to 100,000. I don't know about you, but I don't want to wait 22 whatever years to make 100,000. So we have to make more money first to even get that money soon. If we invested $1,000 a month, it would only take about 6.5 years, which I could do. I mean, I waited longer to watch Attack on Titan, so it shouldn't be too hard to wait 6.5 years to get 100,000. I think about it, it's pretty close, 6.5 years, like snap. Side hustles also exist, but as everything, requires a lot of work, and I am assuming you want something more passive. And the last point of emphasis is behavior. Behavior here is how you use that money and what ways you end up using it. If you only make $2,000 a month and spend, let's say, $1,500 on rent, and the rest is bills, and you're left with $20, and you use that $20 to buy Maria's iguanas, one could say there is a behavioral issue there. Mainly because spending any money when you barely make any on non-essentials, essentials here are being food, water, utilities, insurances, and stuff of that matter, you might have something behavioral going on. Now, discipline is highly needed to control spending. The problem is, discipline simply is not like how many self-help gurus make it seem to be, a flip of a switch. No, it's actually an emotion. If your brain has made connections to spend money a certain way, it's not simply just gonna cut that way out. Your brain molds connections and meshes it together, and the more you do it, the stronger those connections become. So the more you've been spending money a certain way, the more you're gonna do it again and again and again. We are creatures of patterns and repetition. The more you do something, the better you get at it. Neuroplasticity is not this like biohack. You might see people be like, oh my gosh, you know, with neuroplasticity, you can change the way you freaking think about yourself, and not really. I saw that a lot of these videos and forums and whatnot, when we talked about behavior, they made it seem like you can just be like, oh, I'm not gonna do it anymore. When the reality is, based on studies that have been done on, behavior patterns, it's not as easy to let go of things. Because humans naturally, to revolution, we are attached to items, to people, to concepts, to abstract ideas for the sake of survival. So in our mind, doing something a certain way for so long and you see some result is deemed as survival. Now, if you got this far into the video, you probably feel disappointed in what I shared, as if there's no hope for you in this vast void of what we call life. But that's not true. You do ultimately decide how you're going to approach your own life. Will you grow? Will you stay at the same place? It's really up to you.